Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. It is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it is a rainy day. God's forcing me to stay inside and catch up on some stuff in here, so I thank Him for that. Grab yourself something to sip on while we chat. I want to talk about probably the most dangerous enemies out there that you face. This morning, I am not drinking out of a Stone Mountain mug. I am drinking out of one I used to drink out of. The Second Amendment, and there's a reason for that. If we talk about the enemies that we have, of course, front and center is militant Islam. I'm not going to get into that a lot. I'm going to do one over on the American Patriot channel. That channel, if you are not, and the reason that I'm not, is because I don't want to take this away from being a preparedness channel. This is about preparedness, but we face a lot of enemies, and I'm going to warn you about one today, but that many people don't think about. And it's probably the most insidious enemy that we have. But on the American Patriot channel, and that's where we're talking about taking back America, returning it to a state of a Christian nation, which though it never was in the paperwork, it was established as a Christian nation. It always was a Christian nation until a few decades ago. And when it stopped being a Christian nation, that's when its decline really took off. Really took off. I know people will come on here and say, well, it started in 1913 and this. Yeah, I know. I know all that. No, when we stopped being a Christian nation, a majority Christian nation, that's when this country started its free fall to destruction. So that's what we talk about on the American Patriot channel. If you're not with us over there, I invite you, I implore you, I want you to come over and join us on the American Patriot channel. That link is right down below. And I'll be doing one after I finish this over there. I put up one, was it yesterday or the day, whenever it was, about this situation in Washington, D.C., where this militant Muslim drove a former CIA asset and all that, drove across the whole country from his home in Washington State, where he lived with his veiled wife and 5 kids in an apartment that had no beds. And they slept on couch cushions. And he spent his days, besides being apparently an Amazon delivery driver, so watch out, playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, So he drove all across the country to shoot these 2 guardsmen up there. And as I was talking about that, I referred to him. Well, I'll explain this a different way. I had a woman come on and just try to take me to task for calling him a moron or an idiot or something. I don't know. She came on, and in this holier-than-thou attitude that we hear so often from those who won't stand up and take a stand, these weak Christians in name only, because they love spouting their how should I put this? Religious virtue signaling. They're so much better than the rest of us. Explained to me I shouldn't call him a moron, and we should love everyone, and we should do this and we should do that. And I answered her, and she came back with an even longer one about all of this stuff. Lady, if you're watching this, you are the danger. You are one of the dangers. I told her, I said, well, you've read some of the Bible, read the rest. She assured me she had. Evidence she doesn't understand it. And out of all of that, out of this guy coming over here, working with our people in Afghanistan, coming over here, driving across the country, and killing 2 of our guardsmen, trying to establish order in a city that has gone nuts. Her issue is that I call this guy a moron? I mean, what kind of insanity is that? That is just downright insane. Well, guys, these are the enemies, the enemy within. And there are plenty of them. This is why this country is going down in flames, because we have people who won't stand up, recognize, and then stand against the real threats in our country. They want to fold their little hands and talk about how good they are and how we should always be so good. Yes, I am fully aware that we should love our enemies. It's tough sometimes, right? But we are told, love our enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. Uh, yeah, yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all about also recognizing the evil in the world. And if I call evil a moron, I hardly think that is the most important thing to latch onto. That is not the greatest of sins, right? But this woman, and I'm just using her as an example because I am so tired of so many people in our country taking this weak-kneed, little feeble approach to the problems of the world. Christianity is not a weak religion. It is a meek religion, which if you understand the difference, you'll know. You'll know meekness is strength under control, but let loose when it's necessary, when it's appropriate. I put up, I think, on the Patreon channel of this morning, Luke 22:36. He that had no sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. Why do you think Jesus told his followers to do that? Just to have something else hanging on their belt? I don't think so. Because when it comes time to use it, it's time to use it. Now, I'm going to be making one on the Patriot channel, like I said, about onward Christian soul soldiers. We need to stand up again and take this country back before it is too late, because it is quickly becoming too late. But one of the things that we deal with, supposedly on our side, are these weak-willed, mealy-mouthed, little holier-than-thou people who won't stand up. And I'll throw some other people into this mix too, and that is the ones who are always questioning everything that our country does. Now, I certainly have questioned a lot of things that our country does, but I have been deeper in the monster than most of the people who do that. And I know how corrupt our government is. I know the things our country does. I know that our leaders are flawed. And I know the flawed things that they do. And I could write a list. It would take me days to write a list of all the things that our country does with which I disagree, or our leaders, or whatever. But that's not what we stand for. We stand for the foundational principles of our country. And one of the enemies that you have to be careful of are these again, these kind of, well, on the other hand, okay, can't take a stand. Well, this is going on. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but, okay, the professional doubter, the professional pessimist who calls themselves a realist. This is important to your preparedness. Steve, what does this have to do with preparedness? Because if your country falls, you're out of luck, pal. You are out of luck. All your rice and beans isn't going to save you. And another thing, and this is very common in the preparedness world, I don't vote because voting doesn't matter and they're selected, not elected, and blah, blah, blah. I've heard that forever. This is the excuse of the person too lazy to be involved. Don't let yourself be dissuaded by those people. Don't let yourself be minimized in your efforts to do something positive, because they won't. Because they just don't have it doesn't take a lot of strength. It doesn't take a lot of gumption to whine and complain. And I'm saddened that, well, I don't know if I'm saddened or not. It's not my business. I prepare so that my family and I and whoever is dependent on us will do well in hard times. And complaining doesn't get you very far down that road. And so I it's too bad. I mean, it's whatever. I'm all about these prepper people that are always singing a blues about how horrible things are and all that. Well, they're failures. Let me just put it that way. Oh, I know I'm going to upset some people. Good. It ought to upset them. Maybe it'll help them do something instead of just whine and complain. But don't let them pull you back. Understand that these groups that I've talked about, these are the enemies within. We have huge enemies outside our country trying to destroy our country. And yet we have these people in here poking holes in the canoe, you know, with their doubts and their platitudes and all that. And we're trying to row that canoe, and they're just poking all these little holes because they're not only not rowing, but they're finding excuses not to, and they're attacking those who are. That's the enemy within. The country that we will end up living in. And you know, one of my books, I said in one of Jim Wyatt's speeches, we must build the country, or we must build the future we want our children and grandchildren to live in. And that's not a weak and whining future. It's time to stand up, and it's time to take a stand and make your stand known. Simple as that. We have enemies trying to take this country down. And the question is, are you going to stand up against it, or are you going to find excuses not to? All right. Well, there we go. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Come join us on the American Patriot channel. That is down below. That thing's growing like it is going. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.